First off, I normally show this on a large screen, but since I am trying to record it and my screen size and recording size were not playing nice together, I'm going to use it in this format. My name is Ginger Dewey and I work with ReadSpeaker. I'm the Educational Development Manager, which means I'm here to help you onboard and answer your questions throughout the life of your account. It is not a one and done situation. Now, I always like to have a few little objectives about how we're going to go about things, and basically we're going to learn how to use WebReader today and look to see if there are other things we can do that will help you. When you are talking to your students, make certain you use the words stream or streaming. That's the current version that students are using. However, as times progress, they may have different terminology, so always keep that in mind. They do not have to download software. It's already there for them, and this will help you as you are going through with your help desk because it will reduce help desk calls. Now, keep in mind you can download to MP3. And students who do that will then have to move the MP3 to their MP3 device, and that will depend on what type MP3 device they have. Now, as we talk about how to get this out to your students, first off, in your student orientation or your meet and greet, when you are first getting to know your students, that's when you want to tell them a little bit about ReadSpeaker. Just enough to tantalize them. Tell them that they need to click on that little tab on the left-hand side and see what it does. Students are curious by nature, so they'll look at it. Now, the next thing is your developmental and general studies folks. Now, by this I mean your weaker students. I'm not referring to developmental in any other way, but your weak students. They are going to profit by having the highlighted word with the red word because a lot of times they're not making those connections. English may be a second language for them, or they may have a smaller vocabulary and they just don't know the words. You want to place some type of information at the beginning of your courses, especially your humanities courses, your English course, your sciences, and your math. I taught math in middle school, 8th grade general math for 4 years, and then I moved on to a college where I taught for 34 years. But the first thing I learned on the first week of classes was students don't do word problems because they don't want to read them. So that first year of teaching, we worked out to where different people read the word problems, or we wrote it on the board and we read it together. But the students picked up the cues that the words were then giving them, so they did better with the problems. Because before, they were just taking the two numbers and popping them together and saying, oh, let's multiply them, regardless of what the words had told them to do. So keep that in mind. Now, there are other areas you need to consider, and those are anything that has a high reading level. Now, high reading level can be caused by vocabulary, and in your high schools, you're going to have students that have higher reading levels in books because the vocabulary is larger, or you have a student who is in honors and they're reading a more complex book than the student who is not in an honors course. Anytime you get multiple syllables, generally more than 3 syllables long, there is the chance of mispronouncing that word, and then the student doesn't make the connection between the spoken word and the written word, so they don't transfer of knowledge between the two. If you have a shop course that has some OSHA codes in it, then those students would benefit from our reading ruler. There's a vast array of courses, but it's best to get this in the student hands on the first day of class. Who to involve? Well, first off, we can do a video that can be used in all your Canvas environments in the announcements area. You want your disabilities office or your special education office, rather, to be a part of it, and I know several of you were on the call this morning, so if there were others you did not see on the call, please make certain that they get this information too. Involve your student government. Student government works as leaders among the students, and a lot of times students will talk to students before they will talk to teachers. So having the students know about this can help spread the word. So make certain your student government is involved in this. Your librarian. Librarians know how to look up information if they don't know it. And students know that about librarians. So if in doubt, they will go to the librarian. If you have an instructional designer, make certain you involve them. And of course involve social media, because students are all over the top of that. I can do a session at an in-service day that you may have for your district, or I can do this for an individual school as a session. These are virtual. Make certain you provide to your students the button highlight, and that is in a packet that is on the internet, and I will include that information when I send this video to you. Remember to stress to students, anytime you're using 2 or more senses, you are retaining more information. And by seeing and hearing at the same time, you are increasing that chance of remembering things. You may want to create a course that has information about your special education, your tutoring, if you have any type of tutoring, about web reading, any of the services you offer, how to use Canvas so that your students are aware of it. And if you have a parental role where they can access, then that would be good for them. This would be a self-registration course unless you want to put everyone in it yourself. WebReader can read quizzes in Canvas. One more thing I want to say about this is there's never too much advertisement for something. If you think of another way to advertise this, then do so. If you want to put up posters around the school or electronic posters within Canvas, you can do that. That information is in that packet of information that's on the web. Now let's look at WebReader. As you can see, going across the top of the bar, you have your listen controls, your skip backward and forward 5 seconds, your volume, your reading speed. That's all right there for the student. If they click on the little lines right there in the lower left-hand corner, they'll see this bottom toolbar. And when they see that, they can set up their settings, they can choose male or female voice, they can read on hover, which is a way of skim reading information. They can also use the enlarged text, the text mode, the page mask, the download to MP3, and help. Now on a pop-up menu, there is also dictionary and translate. Now these are just some of the uses that can be done, and since I'm sending you the PowerPoint, I'll let you go over those individually. And now I want to show you, this is it reading a quiz. Now when it gets done reading the question, by the way the questions are formed in Canvas, it's going to say group of answer choices. And then you have the ability for it to read on the selections. That helps the oral learner transition from question to answer, because oral learners don't pick up visual clues very well. So this really helps them. These are some support resources, and these are a couple of YouTube playlists that you may want to use. All right, let's talk about the admin portal. Now in the admin portal, one of the first things you're going to do is click on usage statistics. And when you click on usage statistics, you're going to see the bar graph, and you can also flip to a table view. But let me caution you about the bar graph. Everyone thinks it should keep going up, 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 up. No, it shouldn't. It should ebb and flow. There should be humps and valleys within the bar graph, and that's because of the nature of the semester. Now stop and think it. At the beginning of the school year, we're encouraging everyone to try WebReader. But the students that don't find a need for it aren't going to continue to use it. As you get closer toward the change of semester or change of 6 weeks, I don't know which system you're on, but as you get closer to that, you're going to see a drop-off. and at the beginning of the next term you're going to see an increase again. You're going to see those ebbs and flows, so don't be surprised by that. Now, if you click on the table view, you're going to see something along what we have on the screen right here. You'll see the month, the count, and the CSV. Now, the count is simply how many times someone clicked on WebReader or one of our trackable tools. Not all tools in WebReader are trackable. So you will have duplications there. Let's say Johnny is a student and Johnny clicks on the same file 3 times. You're going to see that count 3 times. Another thing is we do not gather student information. Therefore, we are not knowing that that was Johnny 3 times. We just know the file was clicked on 3 times. So this is not unique data. All right, when you click on a month, and this is just another example, on the right-hand side you can see some of our trackable tools. Default is the listen command on the web reader. Then you have the help page, translate, word lookup is the dictionary. Also trackable is download to MP3. So those would be things that you could see. Now as you progress you've clicked on the month, you now have the tool choices. You can choose all of them or any one of them to track. Our next screen shows you, if you are a Canvas admin, you can hover over here on the left and click on open, and it will open that particular file. Now this particular URL information does have a feature called Doc Reader in it, and Canvas does not have Doc Reader. So you would not be seeing Read Speaker Doc Reader. You would be seeing something like Content Enforced, and then a course number, and then the course title that goes along with it, / a particular file. So know that that information is there. In this particular example, we see this top URL was clicked on 5 times. Something else to know about these downloadable files. When you download it, it is downloaded into a massive file for the month, but it's separated by days. So if Johnny clicked on a file on Monday and Susie clicked on the file on Tuesday, it's going to show that file was accessed one time on Monday and one time on Tuesday. So I always suggest going through and removing this part that is your URL and taking that off in that Excel file sheet, because a CSV can be brought into Excel and you can go in and remove that first part of the URL. That way you can sort it by that column and see how many times that particular file was actually being clicked on over the process of days, because it will sort together. You can also sort by tool or by voice. If you want to see how many people are using the female voice or how many people are using the male voice. Remember, that is a voice, it is not a person. Now, that is my information, so if you want to reach out to me, please feel free to reach out to me, and I will be glad to assist you. And remember, ask me if you have questions. That is my job. That is what I am here for. So I want to hear from you.